All right, hey, welcome back to Solar Line Living. I am Dr. Latoya Davis, and today we are diving into soul contracts. I get asked in various ways about soul contracts so often, from the idea of soulmates to twin flames to people in soul groups, all of these different things, right? I get asked about that a lot. So that's what we're going to look into today. All right. So, have you ever met someone and like you instantly clicked? Right? There was a connection. There was just I can't explain it. That's one part. Or have you ever met someone and you were in a relationship and that relationship drove you to like the depths of so many things, right? It could have been insanity, it could have been to be better, whatever it was. Both of those are examples of how soul contracts can kind of come into play. Two different extremes, but both exist as examples of soul contract. All right. So understanding that there is no one kind of way that a soul contract shows up and it presents itself, and it is more a larger collection of ideas. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So before we get started, if you have not, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, or share button. I really, really appreciate that. I have a goal to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the month. So help me out if you are new to me or if you've been watching and you have not subscribed. I would love that. All right. All right. So first, let's kind of big picture talk about what the soul contract is. But we're gonna start with the soul. So as we know, the soul is an aspect of you or is the aspect of you that continues to come back, right? You continue to reincarnate, and at soul level, that is the part that is forever, right? So this physical 3D body of me is not forever. When I die this time, this 3D body is going to stay here, and the soul or the aspect that is in me that is continuous will go on, and we will continue to come back and have various iterations of life, maintaining the memories and the experiences and the learnings and the knowings and all of that stuff that I had while I'm in this experience. Okay. So that's the soul. When you choose to get ready to come back and kind of incarnate at each iteration, you kind of go in and you're like, what do I want to experience in this lifetime? Um, what lessons do I want to learn? Okay, the last life, I sort of tapped into this thing, but I really didn't get it down. How can I grow and experience this? Oh, yep, that nope, I don't want to do. You know what? I started this relationship with this person and I feel like I owe them something. So I would really love to kind of come back and pay that debt in this lifetime, right? So all of those things are happening before the soul incarnates. Okay. So the soul is making choices. And at first it's kind of big picture, high level choices. Well, I don't know if it's a tiered hierarchy thing, but like that. But big picture, high level choices, right? So the things that I want to learn. And then there are the other souls that are kind of just floating about in soul space, wherever that is, as well. Right. And those souls are also kind of going through those same, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to learn? What do I want to experience? All of those things as well. Right. And you could say, I really want to learn how to how to work on standing in my power in this lifetime. I've really been giving my power away and deferring and deflecting to people who are in authoritative positions. But at this lifetime, I really want to work on standing in my authority. And so then Soul A is like, you know what? This lifetime, I want to try to suppress somebody and make them become dependent on me. So maybe we should hook up or link up in this incarnation so that while I'm working on developing this skill set of how to, make somebody rely on me and become authoritarian, whatever. You can be working on how to combat that and how to make a stand and take a stand and do what you need for yourself. And then y'all two say, okay, great, right? Or the person could say, I really want to be able to support and give guidance and teach people how to stand in their authority, how to be able to tap into their inner self. And the person's like, okay, great. So I'll meet you on whatever. I'll meet you down there, and that'll be the thing that we work on. Okay, so that's one way. So, big picture, a soul contract is simply a spiritual agreement that your soul makes before you incarnate. All right. Um, and understand that these contracts are not punishments. They are literally the opportunities for growth, expansion, healing that the soul in its infinite wisdom has decided that it wants to experience or work through in this lifetime. So contracts are beautiful, they're supportive, they're easeful. They can bring about love, partnership, collaboration. Sometimes they can feel heavy, karmic, or painful, right? But understand that all versions of them are to help with your soul's evolution. Okay? But here's the part that I want you to like lock in on, that the contracts are never permanent. Okay? So, oh, sorry, y'all. Got to get comfortable. So one of the things that we know, right, is our lifetime here is filled with our ability to have choice and the power to have choice and the power to kind of move through and understand and grow. So if you understand that the soul contract is an opportunity for you to grow or an opportunity based on something that you've chosen, you can understand that you also have the power to create change and shift that contract. Contracts can be completed, right? So, meaning whatever the thing was, the agreement that we came together for, we did it, right? So, the contract can be completed. You can rewrite it. I do a lot of that with the Akashic record work, right? Helping people to kind of understand and rewrite and release contracts, and then release them when the lesson has been integrated. So let's talk about romantic relationships because that's really probably the biggest area that I get questions around is kind of romantic relationships. I don't think that a lot of times people even consider other variations of contracts, right? The my daughters, the two of them, their contract together, right? Me and one of my male friends, right? Those are not romantic relationships, but we absolutely have, and they absolutely have contracts. But we're going to start with romantic relationships because I do think that that is kind of where people lock in most when we're talking about contracts, and primarily soulmate contracts, which is its whole own thing. So I won't go explicitly into like soulmate contracts, but kind of big picture romantic relationships, right? So instant spark can happen, deep connection, even the toxic cycle that you can't seem to break, right? There can be a contract there at play. Maybe you came together to work on self worth or to work through the energy of self worth, right? Or forgiveness or unconditional love. So many reasons that you could be kind of in that contract. Then we have family dynamics. Yes, even the family you're born into can be connected or can have connections through soul contracts. Okay. Some are here to support your gifts and others are here to push you into standing in your power. Okay. I want you all, like, I want this part to be really clear that not all contracts or not all relationships or not even like not all of the things are made to feel warm and fuzzy, right? Because how do we get to the next level of growth? Right. I remember I used to pray for, I used to be like, oh my God, I just want to be patient. I just want patience. I just want this. And my godmother says, the only way that you can get to patience is to go through the test. Right. She was like, so stop praying for that because you literally can't exhibit patience if you are not in the situation to have to exhibit patience. And that perspective of like, okay, wait a minute. Um, this thing that I'm saying I want, the only way that I can display it is through this. And so when we're looking at like our relationships or people that we come into contact with that seem the relationship or the contact or the interaction seems hard or challenging, when you look back, you can say, okay, what did I learn from that? What did that push me to? What in that caused me to shift to my next level? Right? That can absolutely be a contract or a soul agreement that you and that person's soul made to help you get to the next thing. Now, the reality is sometimes we don't fulfill the contract, right? And so, meaning that let's say I chose to be in this relationship, or me and this person chose to be in this relationship so that I could work on my notion of self-worth, right? That means that this person is going to do some foul things, right? Or probably do some foul things because I have to I have to figure out how to step into that energy of self-worth. I have to be able to say, "Wait, no, I'm not going to take that. Nah, I need you to adjust," right? Oh, no, that doesn't work for me, right? Or you doing these things in this way don't feel good to me, and so now I need to honor myself, right? But what could happen? I could never step into that energy, right? I could continue to be in the relationship where they're dishing it out, and I'm just taking it, right? So that becomes an example of a contract unfulfilled, or an evolution, or a choice that I made where I didn't step into the lesson, or I didn't step into the learning, right? And so what can happen is that relationship can still kind of fizzle. I was gonna say fazzle out, which was like a combination of fizzle and fade. That relationship can still end, and then you end up in another relationship, and the same thing is happening, right? Because the lesson that you wanted to learn from that particular one didn't come to be, right? So you kind of had like a standby, a standby, like, okay, if this thing doesn't happen, right, tag, next, you're up. But if you make it through that cycle, if you get to the lesson and the soul achieves the goal that it had with that particular relationship, when you call in that next version of the relationship, because that particular lesson has been satisfied, that next relationship will look differently. Okay. um Friendships and partnerships, y'all, I feel like I'm all over the place. Sorry. Friendships and partnerships. So a friend come into your life during a crucial season, and then maybe they faded away, right? Again, that's the contract fulfilled. Some contracts are for, what's that? Like season, reason, like reason, season, lifetime, right? Some people come in for a reason, very short, boom, 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 season, very particular period of your life, and then there are those who are there for a lifetime. The constant thing, though, is that every contract serves your evolution. And once you recognize that, you can stop labeling relationships as good or bad, and you could just start asking yourself, what is this here to teach me? That is really, although I know I'm being kind of all over the place and sporadic today, I feel like I'm being a little spazzy today. The where I want you to get to is being able to ask the question, what is this relationship here to teach me? Be it a romantic relationship, be it family dynamics, or be it friendships and partnerships. Okay. There are two main categories of contracts that I want you to look at. So we have our karmic contracts and support contracts. Now, you know, when I use the word karma because that is a socially accepted idea and concept, right? But for me, karma really is just cause and reaction, right? I make a choice, and then there's a consequence because of that choice. The consequence is always the karma. So karma for me does not have a negative implication, right? It literally is just the consequence of a choice that was made. It can be a positive consequence, or it can be a negative consequence, okay? It literally is just what follows the choice. Karmic contracts can feel really intense, challenging, draining, right? They're designed to help you heal wounds from past lives, or break repeating cycles. Example of this would be you're relating to someone, and that person mirrors back an abandonment issue, right? So you are experiencing this issue or this trigger that you have, and that's being reflected back to you. And what that's doing is giving you the opportunity to learn to love yourself, right, fully, and to um, unravel those issues that you have around abandonment. Supportive contracts feel expansive and nourishing. They align. They align and they lift you up higher. Okay. So an example, what just came to my mind is my best friend. My best friend Latora. We have been friends since sixth grade. Um, Sixth grade, and she is the most like amazing person ever. Right. We don't live in the same place. We have kids that are around the same age. They are also really good friends. But there is no version of anything ever where I could go to her and she would not be in full support. Um, and so kind of how these things happen, like literally, we met, and from that day that we met and like probably said hi, we have been connected and attached. We have never had an argument. We've never had a disagreement. There's never been a I'm not talking to you. Like none of that in what 30 something years of friendship, right? So that is an example of a supportive contract. Probably to an extreme, but that's an example of a supportive contract, right? Instant we saw each other, we connected, we met, and since then we have been there and supporting each other through all of life's phases. All of them. Okay? Um both kinds are important. Okay? They both just kind of give us the balance that we need. So, how to work with soul contracts. How do you actually work with the contracts in your everyday life? Here are 3 steps you can try. First one is recognize the pattern. Ask yourself, what themes keep showing up in this relationship? Is this teaching me boundaries? Is this teaching me self love? Am I having to work through forgiveness? Right? What is recurring and what am I being taught here? Okay. Check in with the Akashic records. This is one of my favorite ways to get clarity, right? Around contracts and understanding what my role is in a particular contract. What am I supposed to get? What am I supposed to learn? Because it helps me understand what that interaction is going to be with someone else. It helps me understand how I can shorten the time, right, that I kind of need to work on a particular lesson. And it helps me determine if I need to rewrite and cancel that contract. Because that's the other thing. Remember, I said that we have the ability to rewrite, clear, and cancel contracts, right? So through the Akashic records, I'm able to get like laser clear focus and detail around what that relationship is with someone and determine how I need to make adjustments, right? So, a question that you can ask in the Akashic Records is, what is the purpose of this contract? And has this lesson been completed? Okay. And then release or realign. So, if the contract feels complete, you can release it through prayer, through ritual or intention. If it's still active, you can choose to engage with it differently. So that is that like understanding. So now I can make a new choice. Um, Remember, you always have the choice. So, an example, I'm going to give an example of identifying a particular pattern and choosing to, okay, recognizing that, wait, I haven't quite learned the lesson. Because this is the other thing that happens. Let's say at soul level, I said I wanted to work through, let's just go with the self worth. Let's go back to self worth. That was one of the things that I really wanted to work on in this lifetime was living in and standing in and embracing my self-worth, right? And I identified that, wait a minute, this relationship that I am currently experiencing is challenging me in this particular way. Okay, wait a minute. This is a relationship that I chose to have to help me work through these self-worth things. I could also, in this kind of reflection, say, I'm having a difficult time getting to where I need to be in the context of this relationship. Maybe I've been in it too long. Maybe the strain to kind of take this new stand is too much. Maybe I feel like it's too heavy of a haul at this point, right? So I can cancel and release this person from that contract. But what I want to point out here is if I have not learned the lesson of self worth, if I'm still working through embodying that idea and that notion, it is going to come back around. I can't release the lesson. I can release the players and realign and shift the players in how I am getting to the lesson. But the lesson is the lesson and it will just come back around. Okay. But now what happens when it comes back around? I can put some variables in how this comes around because I know that this is what I'm working on. I can approach this differently, right? I can start making choices that are fully aligned with me exhibiting my ability to receive and stand in self worth and know what that feels like. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. Um, and even when we're doing work in the Akashic records, right? One of the things that if you've come to me and we've done like a soul clearing and healing session, I say these are the things that the soul is ready to release, right? Or these are some of the lessons that you may have learned, but the energy of this thing is still hanging around. So we're going to go ahead and clear the energy because you've learned the lesson, right? If we clear something and you haven't learned the lesson, it comes back. But coming into awareness that it is a lesson allows you to move through it quicker. All right. Um, so here's the takeaway: soul contracts are not here to control you, they are here to guide you. They bring the right people into your life at the right time to help you grow, heal, and embody more of your future self. And so, the question that you can ask when you are experiencing relationships, again, romantic, familial, or platonic, when you're experiencing those things, is what is this showing me? Right? Why is this happening to me? What lesson am I learning here? And kind of getting to those questions allows you to maximize relationships that are there to serve your best and highest good and move through those that are there to teach you lessons really, really quickly. All right. So if you're ready to dive deeper into your own soul contracts and your soul blueprint, I love to guide you or teach you how to do it on your own. Right. So you are able to take the Akashic Records 101 course, which is a self paced e-course. I don't remember how many modules it is right now, but it is really in depth. Or you can sign up and get a reading, have a session with me. The link for both things are in the comments. So I love to hear from you and kind of support you how I can. So until next time, remember you deserve to live a life that lights you up from the inside out. Stay aligned, liberated, and abundant.